what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drewbie Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've seen it, been through it, heard about it. Now I'm bringing it to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community. Because let's be honest, this is the greatest job of all time. Doesn't matter where you come from, what background, what personality, you can carve out an amazing life in sales. Today's guest, no stranger to the journey. She's a marketing guru, a sales expert. She's my new friend, Miss Debra Bowers. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I
I'm
am
really
so
excited.
grateful for you to be here. And I want to jump right in because I know we chatted a little bit in the pre-call, but I want to hear your craziest sales story.
You know, it's a crazy story, and it's not from a sales call, but it's a great story. I started my career right out of college in sales, really competitive sales, selling cable television to hotels and restaurants, and so negotiating with people like Mr. Patel, and I'm young in my little short skirt and my thing. And so I started out doing that, and I transitioned into marketing, but I was always in industries that were very competitive. So I'm a very sales oriented marketing person. And so this story really resonated with me because of the reminder that it gives us. So it's probably, I'm going to say 1998. I'm older than I look. And I was at a marketing convention for cable television marketing people in Boston. There's one a year. There's 6,000 people of us there. Most of them, they're all marketing people, but some of them have sales departments under them, like I did. And so I had telemarketing and door-to-door sales and commercial sales, all of that within the marketing kind of platform, and managers that handled all of that. But he's talking to a room full of marketing people, right? It's our morning keynote speaker on the first day. So it's a big one. Everybody's there. And it's Jim Cook, the founder and owner of Sam Adams Beer. And it's in the 90s, so he's just hitting his steam. And they were the first of kind of the microbrewery, because it was a microbrew back then.
Yeah.
And so it's, I don't know, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., and he comes out and he sets his 6-pack of Sam Adams up on the podium, and he's talking, and he opens up a beer. And so you kind of get how this whole presentation is going to go. And honestly, at this point in time, they were not the national brand, right? He had just a couple of different beers that they brew themselves, and he built his company. I mean, they had just now started, like everybody knew who he was, but it was the beginning. And he built that entire company, the whole thing, humping it door to door, cold calling restaurants and bars all throughout the Boston metropolitan areas. You can imagine how many of them there are. So, and that, for everybody out there that's in sales, you know how hard that is. He's humping beer around, getting them to try his beer and selling it, and it was vastly so successful of it. So he's kind of teasing the audience a little bit. He knows he's there in front of a bunch of marketing people, right? And so he's definitely playing it up and about how important sales are, and the personal aspect of sales, and how it's so much more important than marketing. He was teasing, but he was being serious too. And I'm a very sales oriented marketing person, and we're becoming kind of a minority. And I talk about it a lot, that you have all these different kinds of marketing companies and content creators and social media and digital and ad people and all of them, and none of them sell. None of them focus on sales, right? None of them. Now, it's not that they're not warming up the market with some branding, right? But so for me, I'm digging it, because I come from the sales background, and so, and a lot, cable television was hadn't hit all of its competitiveness that it has now. So it was, very, we'd just come through rate regulation, I think, around 1998. So it was starting to get competitive with some of the satellite stuff. But he tells this comparison and this joke. And, it's kind of dirty. So you might want to turn down the volume if you're easily offended. But so he says, to me, sales and marketing are very similar to masturbation and sex. And he says, marketing, you can do it anywhere in a closet by yourself. You don't need to talk to anybody. You don't need anybody else. But in the end, for sex, you gotta have other people. You gotta talk to people. You gotta communicate with people. And one's infinitely better than the other, right? And so for him, it's a lot of times marketing exists in this bubble, right? And it's it on its own. And you think about, oh, look at all the impressions look how many clicks I got. Look how many impressions. Look how many engagements that we had. Look how many people liked your post. Mm-hmm. And for me, the only metric, it's not that those aren't valuable. We use those to determine what we need to do if we're not. But if you don't funnel all of that in and it doesn't come out to a sale at the end, then it doesn't matter. That's the only metric that works. And a marketing person, it can't do the end sale. They have to talk to somebody at the end to get it. And that is a critical element. And marketing, people forget that. They have to go together. They so many times are adversarial unnecessarily. And so, which one's more fun, guys? Let's talk about some sales, shall we? It was fantastic. I have to say, he was one of the best speakers. I had the privilege of seeing some really big names speak during my corporate marketing career. And his really stands out, and it resonates with how my business is today. So many people have just forgotten. They just want, let me make all this content. And, that's important. We want them warming up that sales market for us. We want them doing that advertising, but in the end, they have to funnel it in and actually generate a lead for us to be able to go out and sell it. And if we don't do that, then we're all going out of business. That's what is generating the revenue. That's what's important. So that's why I love that story. And it's got that just sort of element to it that makes it memorable, right?
I mean, and it is. And it's one of those things, when you have a great relationship, you have a great intimate moment, it is memorable. When you have an amazing sales conversation, it is memorable. That is what leads to multiple referrals. Now, let's just be frank about it. In the real world, if a lady meets with a man and they have a great relationship, she's probably going to tell her friends about it. And a lot of times those friends are going to go and try to find out too, because that's the way the world works. And that's what's so interesting about sales and marketing, is when you can bring the two together and you truly understand that getting attention is only a part of the process. It is being able to utilize that attention and to convert it into action that truly creates a sales professional versus a marketing professional or an order taker or anything like that. And what I love about that story is that, someone who was in your shoes, young and impressionable and trying to make their way in a corporate world, which we don't got to go into all the crazy things about men and women and corporate society and like the discrepancies that came, especially back in the 90s. But the truth is, you went in and you said, I'm going to learn something. I'm going to go to this event. I'm going to connect with people. I'm going to grow. And I would really be interested to know, from that point on, what would you say has become kind of like your secret sales superpower? What makes you so special when it comes to sales?
It definitely is my creativity. I have an excellent memory, and so I'm able to recall lots of things and really develop a relationship with people. But being able to take what they tell me and creatively think about how to communicate with them and how to creatively get in the door, how to creatively get them to talk to me again without me calling and asking about the sale, having good ideas to all of those things. I'm really good at that. It makes me a great sales manager. Because they, oh, I've got this, I can't get in the door, I can't do this, and we'll brainstorm and come up with another idea. And so I was very good at that and very quick on my feet with it. I didn't have to think about it for a long time, but I could too. I would have big ideas come and after I had left. And so, but definitely that.
I love that answer. And I think what's interesting to me is that the creativity is, in my opinion, it's just another word for being a great problem solver.
Yes.
Because inevitably we are put in positions where we have a set number of resources, referrals, people, access, wisdom, whatever you want to call it, and our job as professionals is to figure out, okay, this is what we got. What are we going to do to get to the end result? How are we going to solve this problem? How are we going to put this individual into a better position, knowing what we know and also not knowing what we don't know? Because inevitably that's the craziest part about sales and objection handling, and why creativity is such a great superpower to have and to continue developing. Because not everybody's born incredibly creative, but you can get creative by going through more experiences, by having more conversations and understanding, this is where we screwed that picture up, let's not do that again. And
Yes, learning.
we've all had those sales that we thought were like in the bag, this one's it, and then just completely went crazy. And I'd imagine you probably have one like that in your back pocket somewhere that you remember very vividly.
Probably so. If not mine, other people for sure.
And so when you're going through the objection handling process,
Hmm.
what do you like to do to get creative? What are some of the ways that you kind of lean in on that and you use your marketing background but your sales prowess?
Um, I'll give you a good example of this. Wasn't one of my clients. In fact, I was the marketing director, but because I was good at what I did, the sales guys sometimes would come in, and this gentleman was having trouble getting in the door to a dentist office. And so he's getting gate kept, right? That gatekeeper. If you get a
Ruthless.
good office manager, you're never going to talk to the owner of that business. And he was struggling. And they tried, all the different things that sales managers, and sending a mail and cold calling, going at different times, all the different prospecting ways to do it. So by the time they've come to me, they're looking for something outside the box. And so this is what we did. It was a big office. And so you think about what's going to motivate them. What are they going to really love to get? And I almost always land on food. Everybody loves food and they don't like to spend money on lunch and free food at work. I mean, how many donuts or pieces of cake have I eaten that I never would have eaten had it not shown up when I was at work? And so what we did was we sent pizza, but we talked to the pizza people first and we went by, they were ready, and we said this, we had, for example, meat lovers. Well, that's the meat and potatoes of what we offer. And so it had marketing materials with that box, the meat and potatoes about what the meat of it. Then we had cheese, right? That's all of our awards or testimonials or the cheese, what we're proud of. You got your drinks. Boy, that's quenching some thirst. That's where you'll find our specials. Right?
Mm.
So getting creative about things like that. He came in that afternoon and played his voicemail that said, "Mr. Baker, pizza will get you in the door." So being creative about and memorable and that's the marketing in me, the packaging, the coming up with the marketing materials and how to do that creativity I really excel at. And you can learn it. Once you have that idea, look, you can do it with barbecue, right? The barbecue, the add-ons, the sides, the mac and cheese, yeah.
we
Um,
We had a guy on, McLean Bobbitt. He was, oh shoot, probably 20, 30 episodes ago now. And he's in the real estate investing game. And
Mm-hmm.
their whole thing is, hey, how can we get in front of these homeowners, these distressed property owners, and how can we get creative? Because they stop answering the phones, they don't answer the door. And he started sending pizzas and had massive success with it. And I'll never forget the time he told me about that when he was like, before he came on the show, he's like, hey, bro, I sent some pizzas and I got this guy and I'm making $100,000. I'm like, what? It's insane. But I think it also stems back to understanding your client avatar. If you are a sales professional, which you probably are if you're here listening to this show, I cannot encourage you enough to at least study marketing, understand the concepts of it, get a base knowledge enough to be dangerous, because once you learn how to generate your own leads, you literally have the ability to write your own paycheck, to launch your own business. And so, Debra, I'd be really curious to know, like, on your journey, where
Mm-hmm.
was that shift for you where you were able to go from, hey, I kind of understand this, to I can generate my own leads, I can close my own deals, and now I can really, truly scale to the level I want to be on?
It was pretty early in, because they kind of just, I mean, in the 90s, it's just a different place, right? They smoked cigarettes at their desk. There was cigarette smoke everywhere we went.
In the restaurants, remember having to pick smoking or non-smoking
And they're
sections?
right next to each other. The first time I flew on an airplane, people smoked cigarettes on the airplane.
Awesome.
It's just it's a different kind of a world, and more person to person, right? There were no cell phones. In fact, you know what? The new salespeople, y'all are gonna just wish that, and be nostalgic for this time. I could leave in the morning and say, hey, I got sales calls. I'll probably be around in Norman or somewhere, and be gone all day. Come back in at 4, stack of messages, no idea where I've been, no way to talk to me throughout the day, right? And so I'll never forget when they made me get a pager. I thought my life was over, right? I'm like, I don't want this. Like, what do you mean you need to talk to me sometimes if there's an emergency? What kind of emergency could there be? And yeah, so now we're so connected that it's hard. It doesn't matter what product that you're buying. Most of the people here are selling something big. If you're a salesperson, you're not likely selling lipstick, right? You're selling something you can make a great commission on. And so it's not, people buy from people. They don't buy. If I know I want a car, I might go to 3 different dealerships. So the place that I end up buying from is because I like that person and I trusted them. So that relationship is so important. And we had to build that face to face a lot of the time then. And, there's nothing wrong with generating your own leads via networking online, but there's nothing better in person than doing that and being able to generate your own leads that way. And so we did a lot of that even back then. It was Chamber of Commerce meetings. And so really early in my sales career, I kind of saw that generating back. And I would tell you that our salespeople, they are doing marketing every day, right? When you think about the parts of marketing that when you're doing a sales, making an ad, for example, you got a hook, which is the interest creating remark, right? In sales training, when you're cold calling and you're walking in, I got to get their attention. That's the same as a hook that you're putting in any ad that you do or a post that you make. You have bait. I've got a special. That's the bait. What is this client? What kind of bait do they need? Right? So it is what you do every day. You just don't see it from a non-personal point of view. So if you can back up and think about that a little bit, then okay, I'm selling to families, and so discounts are important. I'm going to lead with that. But if you're in a upper income area, you don't want to discount anything, because then it might not have, there might be something wrong with it if it's discounted. And how you position that, you can do from your setting a lot of the time, and can tell what part of my sales pitch should I lead with in this networking event, or in this neighborhood that I'm knocking doors in, or in this business district. If I'm in some swanky business district, I shouldn't be the low cost provider. That's not where you're going to go sell that at, So I think that salespeople don't give themselves enough credit when it comes to marketing. That you do it, but you think about all of the other stuff that we already talked about. The hardest part of marketing is incorporating the sales. If you've got that piece of it, then you can hire people to make video. You can, all of the rest of it can be hired out. But if you're running your own business and you don't have a sales strategy and you can't train people to sell it, you don't have a long-term kind of being able to understand. You're going to hire a marketing agency and they're going to make a bunch of content that doesn't sell anything. And then you're going to be like, I don't understand why I don't have any leads to sell. So if you're a salesperson, you got to have the leads. It's important.
I'm a big fan of like making analogies and similarities between things. And so when I hear the word bait, I think about a fisherman. A fisherman knows my whole process is to show up at the water, toss a line in, grab something and pull it out. Anyone can do that. That's order taker business. Like you can literally walk out, throw a hook out sometimes, and just the hook will catch a bluegill. Anyone can do that.
Maybe.
Now, the difference though is the pro anglers, they know when they show up on a certain piece of water at a certain time of year that there's a certain kind of fish to likely be in that kind of water, and that fish is specifically looking for a certain type of dinner. And that's the difference between an order taker and a professional. And what I love about that is marketers understand.
I do a presentation in person as a speaker called Sales is Not a Dirty Word. And I do a whole thing in there about fishing. I'm in Oklahoma. It's a big outdoor, lots of hunting and fishing. And my brother is just an avid fisherman. If you had something hurting on your heart and you were struggling with something and needed somebody to talk to, my brother would take you fishing. And he took all my kids, he took fishing. I raised 5 kids and he would take them all fishing. And my boys all like to fish for alligator gar. And because they were like the funnest, the hardest to reel in, they put up a fight. And so my brother has this special dough bait that he makes, his secret formula, Bisquick and strawberry Kool-Aid. And I know those are 2 of the ingredients, and they are attracted to that. And so that it's really important that you not just from a marketing perspective and spend your advertising dollars wisely and target all of that towards it, but your sales too, right? So if we know that the company we're working for or the company we own, we have a special on storm shelters, then we know the kinds of people we're going to be going after. And we can target our presentation, our message, our call to action, the whole bit towards that. And great salespeople do that every day. They don't realize it's marketing, though.
Come on. Now, listen, Debra, I'm sure you and I could sit here and jam out all day long for hours on end, and this ain't the Joe Rogan podcast, so I don't do that, first of all. But I want to be respectful of your time. I can do it, man. I've been on some long ones. I can get pretty chit-chatty. I can do it, too, but here's what I know. When it comes to sales especially, keep it simple sells. And I think you've given our listeners a lot of very simple and very powerful things that they can implement right now in their process to start seeing more success. And what I'd love to know for myself selfishly and for anyone who's listening, how can we come find more of your content? How can we get more of that amazing wisdom and learn how you continue to pour into the communities around like ours?
Well, first of all, you can download my free ebook. It's available on my website, but also I'm sure that you'll have a link to it.
I
And
will
it
share.
is 5 steps to having a mindset for success. And because, man, you got to have the right mindset to be successful at anything, but especially sales. It's really important. And my website, hexagonmedia.net, you can find out all about what I do and link to my podcast from there. I'd love for you to check out my podcast. We talk a lot about sales and marketing, but we also talk about mindset and personal growth and burnout and all the things that keep us going. And you can link, we're available on all platforms. It's Deals with Heels, where female entrepreneurs thrive. And my website is dealswithheels.com. You can link to all the episodes there and book me as a guest if you want, all the things. I'm on all the social platforms because, I own an advertising agency. So I unfortunately have a profile on almost everything. I'm the most active on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And so you can find a lot of my content and silliness on those platforms too. And, our YouTube is my Deals with Heels YouTube channel. So, but I post some other content on there too. So.
Beautiful. Well, I will make sure all of those links find their way into the show notes. That way, anyone who hung out with us today that enjoyed that great story at the beginning, who's picked up some wisdom along the way, has an opportunity to join you. I know I'll be checking out more of your show. Not that I'm a female entrepreneur, but I'm always open to learning. And what I know is that when you're in the right room with the right people, having the right conversation, the right things happen. And Debra, I am grateful that you took some time out of your day to be here with us and have one of those amazingly right conversations, because I know if you're in sales and you understand marketing, you're basically unstoppable, just like Debra. So thank you
Yes.
again for hanging out with me today.
And thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be on the show, and seriously, great content. Everybody should check out all your other episodes. I'm definitely a fan.
Thank you so much. And you heard her. If you enjoyed the show, head over to callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Check out the episodes, submit to be on the show, grab some swag, a book, whatever. But more importantly, go back, listen to the episode, grab one thing that you really, really liked, and start taking action on it today. Because if you take action, you'll get results. And that's the main goal of everything we do, which is why I'm here to tell you one more time. Go call the damn leads. We'll see you on the next one.